Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited to have you all here. I see more people are filtering in, but we are going to kick it off. This is the former summer associate panel, and we're excited to share some former associate experiences with you all. So thank you for joining us tonight. Just so you know, you will be submitting all questions through Slido. We will be answering as many questions as we can during the Q&A portion. So if you see a question that you want answered, please upvote it. And if there's any questions that aren't answered throughout the Q&A portion, feel free to email them to kearneycareers.mba@kearney.com. And we will try to get back to you as soon as possible for that. During today's webinar, we'll provide an overview of the summer consultant program and share experiences of recent summers. We will have our panelists talk, and then we will discuss the summer consultant program overview, and then we will lead into the Q&A. So with that, we are going to kick it off. I'll pass it over to Liz to introduce herself.
Great, thanks, Morgan. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Curtis. I am a manager out of our Chicago office and in our strategic operations practice. I joined Kearney after a great summer internship between my first and second year at Booth, and have really just done my best to explore all throughout the firm, and most recently landed in the practice, but joined as a journalist. So I'm happy to kind of help answer any questions about entering the firm and trying to explore, do a random walk. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Emmanuel.
I think Emmanuel might be joining soon. I can continue from here. So
Okay.
Hi everyone. I'm an associate based in New York. I'm now aligned to the digital and analytics practice, but I started also as a journalist and did my internship also as a journalist. I did my MBA at Booth, and yeah, I guess the internship experience I had was more related to supply chain and consumer. So happy to talk more about my experience and also how like the type of work that I'm doing now.
Okay, I'm here. Sorry, guys. Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Emmanuel. I'm an associate here in the Dallas office. I recently aligned to the CMT practice. During my summer, I interned and worked on across two different projects, one in healthcare and the other one in retail. And my focus was primarily on a sourcing strategy project for freight forwarders for a retailer company. So good to meet you all.
Around this out, Leo Podolsky. I'm based in Toronto. I've been with the firm full-time now 18 months. I joined March of 2023. I'm aligned to the consumer and retail practice. I aligned beginning of 2024. I did also join as a generalist. Before I joined full-time, I was doing my MBA at Rotman, University of Toronto, and I was lucky enough to do a summer internship with Emmanuel in 22. I think also Daniela, you were in the cohort as well. But Emmanuel, you and I were in our training in first week together, so I'll always remember that. My summer project, now looking back 2 years ago, was with the same client I'm actually doing a project for right now. So kind of funny how things come full circle. At the time, they were going through a merger, and we were kind of helping with the post-merger integration aspect of that. And I guess, it's on the slide, so I may as well bring it up. In the Toronto office, lots of karaoke action happening in my summer internship. Still to this day there is. So if anyone in this chat is in Canada, going to the University of Toronto, wonder if you can show your hands. You might have seen us at a karaoke. No, we don't have that functionality in this chat. Guess not. All right. That's it for me, though. Hell yeah, Boris.
Great.
Sorry, all the screen is frozen. But as we figure this out, happy to chat a little bit about our recruiting process. So our summer program consists of 10 weeks. And really, as you're here for the 10 weeks, you are fully involved in the program. So with that, we have a few different ways for you to get involved. With that, number one, you are fully staffed on a project. We have you involved in the day-to-day of the project. You will also be paired with a formal mentor throughout your 10 weeks as well, and have resources throughout the throughout your time with our in-network training programs, as well as informal mentorships, both through the offices that you'd be aligned to, as well as the different networks that you can be a part of. So that's number one. We also have some great events planned throughout the summer, both in office as well as nationally. So really this provides you a hands-on experience throughout your summer internship, with hopefully the goal for you to receive an offer and return back full-time after you graduate. So I will work on getting the slides fixed here, but please go ahead and continue your Q&A. Feel free to add questions that you would like our panelists to answer, and we will go ahead and start going through those as we get the screen back up and running. Hopefully you all can see this. Is this working for everyone now?
No,
I see black.
Okay, I will continue to troubleshoot this, but why don't we go ahead and start off with the Q&A for right now. Oh, here we go. Is this better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's working.
Perfect. So this is all just what I spoke about. Apologies for the technical issues here. But really, this is an opportunity for you to get to know Kearney, as well as for us to get to know you through both networking as well as project experience. You'll get the full experience, fully working with the client directly, and you're viewed as a full-time employee on the project as well throughout the 10 weeks. So happy to have our panelists answer questions that come through and talk about their summer experiences as well. And with that, I will go ahead and pass it over to Liz to talk a little bit more about what's entailed in the 10 weeks.
absolutely. Thanks, Caroline. So as Caroline mentioned, it's a very immersive full 10 weeks. You're staffed like after your first week of training. You have these consulting skills awareness, we call it CSA, where you are brought up to speed on some of the PowerPoint, needs and Excel training and whatnot that you'll expected to be able to use during your summer internship. After that CSA training ends, you'll be assigned a project, and so upon becoming an intern, you're able to kind of rank and prioritize both functional and industry preferences. And so it's your project alignment will try to kind of index towards one of those preferences. But once you have completed that onboarding, been assigned a project, you will meet with your manager and your mentor to kind of establish expectations for the summer, and what you are looking to not only get out of it, but achieve, and how you are looking to grow. So weeks 2 through 10 are really going to be you executing on that project. So you are a fully functioning associate. The client views you as a Kearney associate, not necessarily a summer associate. So you are there to deliver on that work stream. About halfway through the summer internship, you will have a midterm feedback review. That will be with your mentor, your manager, and they will go through that kind of informal review process. You will receive feedback. And around that time, you also have learned about the firm, and it's called LAF, where all of the associates we'll go to New York and have a very fun and immersive weekend, getting to experience kind of a little bit more about Kearney, the culture. You have some fun evenings out. You have some fun like chop desk experiences, right? So you're getting involved with the firm and really getting to know each other at a deeper level. Final presentations, which every internship ends with, is week 9. That's where you're really reading out and kind of showing off what you were able to do this summer and work on. So you're kind of walking through the client, the problem, and exactly what you were able to deliver within those 9 weeks of the internship. And then week 10 is the final evaluations, and you in the summer with an offer decision. So.
And 10 weeks flies by, right, Liz?
Yes, it does. It goes so fast. I remember when I got my midterm evaluation, I was like, already? I like thought I just did onboarding. It feels like so the blink of an eye. So it's a very fun experience. Each office does a great job of providing a ton of Friday activities. We've done axe throwing. This year we did a fun architecture tour in Chicago. It's a great way for everyone to kind of get to know each other, get to know the office, and really get in and be a person. So it's a great experience.
Great. Thanks, Liz. So like I mentioned earlier, we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. We have about a half hour to answer all of your questions with our panelists. So we'll go ahead and start it off directing to Emmanuel. Can you talk a little bit about what your project was during your summer, and if you were able to work with the same manager throughout the project and leadership, or if you kind of jumped around throughout your summer?
Yeah, great question. So I worked on 2 different projects. The first one was in healthcare. The client was going through some different, restructurings and whatnot. So they had to pretty much, after the first 3 to 4 weeks, they had to pretty much realign us all to different projects. So it was a unique case for me. But the great thing about it, when I was switching from the healthcare project to the retail project that I worked on, it allowed me to be more flexible, adapt to a new environment, new team, new manager, principal, partners. So they were not the same as my first project. So that's something that I feel the firm does a good job with, making sure they're going to align you to a project that fits your needs. And they both were on my list as to like my preferences that I wanted to work with or work across during my summer internship. So hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you. And I would say it's more likely than not that hopefully interns are on one project for the entire summer. But I think, Emmanuel brought up a great point that sometimes things change, and we just kind of have to adapt with the client and the project work that's going on within the firm. So starting off, right, you all did your first year of your MBA. Danielle, I'm going to direct this next question to you. What drew you to Kearney over the other consulting firms as you were going through, first year recruiting at your MBA program?
Yeah, happy to talk about that. I think when I was doing the internship, I could really sense what everyone was speaking about, the culture at Kearney. Especially during the last weeks of the internship, you already saw the timeline. We have these final presentations coming up, like everyone is a bit nervous about them. And I remember that the people in my team were very supportive, and like, even if we were very busy, like we even stay a little bit longer just to go through my materials and make sure that I was set up for success. So that was like, it was really something that I highlighted from my internship. And I guess also, in addition to just having this collaborative environment, it feels that at Kearney you are within a big firm, of course, but also it doesn't feel as big as you would imagine. I think that we have a lot of structures in terms of networks or practice groups, and it's a good way to start like narrowing down what you like and connecting with the people that are interested in the same things. So I think those 2 components were something that made me decide over other firms.
Great. Thank you, Daniela.
Of course.
Another question that I saw in the chat was just asking how projects are assigned to summer interns. Liz, do you want to go ahead and take this one, or we can split it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to take that. So I kind of started, I alluded to this a little bit when I was walking through the timeline, but Upon accepting an internship with the firm, you are given a survey where you really get to highlight your interests, what functional areas you're looking to explore, what industries you would like to be involved in, and you rank those like I think 1 through 5 or 1 through 3 in terms of both functional and industry experiences that you're looking for. And based off of those experiences that you're looking to have and kind of what's coming into the firm at the time and what's available, you're then assigned a project. So your input is highly valued and very much considered when you're assigned to a project, but you're not necessarily given the opportunity to pick said project.
Great, thank you. Leo, I'm going to pass this over to you. What kind of resources do interns have when they're staffed on a project, whether it's something they're familiar with or not?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to this because my summer internship project was in a completely new space for me. I had a sales background prior to my MBA and prior to coming to Kearney for my internship. And so my function of my internship had to do with sales, but the industry itself, I was very unfamiliar with. I was just a lot of reading in the first couple of days. I think we do a good job of giving interns the space to kind of get ramped up, get well read in the subject to the extent that is possible, just looking online and then looking at like our internal repository of research information, past projects. But overall, I think, it's up to the team that has the intern join them to help them through the first 3 weeks. Really, I think the first 3 weeks are a challenge for anyone who's in a new space and also trying to master a new job. There's a bit of a cushion there, and people, are for the most part very kind of like understanding of what you are going through for the first time. And then from 3 weeks on, there's almost like this click that happens where all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I think I know this pretty well. I'm already pretty smart in this industry. I'm getting the hang of this. At least it was for me. I maybe asked my peers on this chat too if that 3 week mark, or maybe the 4 week mark or something like that kind of happened to them as well.
Great, thank you.
Anyone?
I think on top of that too, right, we have our own in-house learning and development team. So there are trainings that are developed throughout your time at Kearney as well, based off of your level, as well as your industry and practice functions. So you can definitely gain more resources and skills as you build your career here at Kearney. So jumping over, I'm going to jump back to Daniela. Daniela, can you talk about what the staffing model is like here at Kearney?
Yeah, of course. So I would say in terms of staffing, the model would be national or even regional. I think we see the US, Mexico, and Canada as one region. And in terms of projects that you could get a staff, like all of that is under consideration. I would say though the only personal limitation that someone might have is in terms of traveling. Like I wouldn't, like I've been a staff, being based in New York, I've been a staff in a project in SF, and most of it was remote, but I had to travel a few times. And I guess that would be the only limitation, but it's only like a personal preference if someone doesn't want to travel that much. But yeah, it's like very, very open to the region.
Great, thank you. I think another thing to share here as well is, given Kearney's national staffing model, we do not recruit by office, which I know some other firms do. So truly looking, for you to find your home where you want to live, as long as it's close to one of our offices. But regardless of the office that you are aligned to, you are able to work on any and all projects that are available within the Americas here at Kearney. So as you're picking out your office, just make sure it's a place that works for you personally, and we'll be able to get you the right staffing as you come through your internship here. Going to jump over to Emmanuel. Can you talk a little bit about how, you were aligned to SOP during the summer, and then you transitioned over to our CMT practice. Can you talk about what that was like and if there were any challenges with that transition?
Yeah. So, working on working on SOP during the summer already presented its challenges. It was something completely different. I wasn't used to this service practice at all. But like Leo mentioned earlier, one thing that the teams pride themselves on is allowing new people or just people with their staff to get ramped up. So you get a chance to spend 2-3 weeks just to learn the practice or learn the client and the industry, and just make sure you have the knowledge and the skills, readily available. That way you can apply to the project. I had an amazing team, had an amazing manager, partner that was able to invest in me and make sure they can check in with me every, 2-3 weeks or so on. And I think that's what kind of helped me transition to CMT. CMT is more industry focused. So a lot of the work that we did, or the work I did in SOP, was able to be transferable over into CMT. So the transition wasn't as difficult. It's just a matter of learning CMT, the industry, and making sure I can get skilled up whenever I'm on a project, the first 2-3 weeks. So that's kind of been my transition. And again, it was pretty smooth.
Great. Happy to hear that. Liz and Leo, going to ask if you can both share the types of mentorship you had throughout your summer. And Liz, I know you've served as a mentor too. So can you just talk about what the mentorship program is like, not only within the 10 weeks of your internship, but also full-time as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So upon becoming an intern, you're assigned an official mentor, and they are someone in the firm who typically resonates with you in some respect, whether that be from the same business school, from a same interest. I know like the Proud Network tries to align mentors similarly, and you try to ensure that they're in the same office locations that you can meet in person. But those mentors are there to really be a sounding board and a guide for you throughout the summer. They are there for kind of asking those dumb questions, right? Of, where do I find these resources? I'm looking to do expenses. Do you mind like taking a second to hop on the phone and look through some of these things, right? So they're really there for you as a resource, and they are there as an advocate for you at the end of the summer, right? So they are part of your evaluation process and are there to support you throughout the summer. That is also said for, right, like my mentor at the firm. He is in my practice. I see him twice a month. We meet in the office, try to connect to make sure we're, in sync on what's going on. He represents me in my review cycles, and so is really there to understand and what I'm experiencing and what that looks like. And so, the mentor actually, is there to help guide, how I find my internship successful, right? So my mentor at the end of the summer was helping get up to speed on how I was evaluated on those 5 pillars. The summer associates are really rated similarly, not similarly, the exact same as any associate, right? So there are 5 pillars of the firm. I'm not going to get all of them, which is going to be embarrassing, but it's client, like your work, your intellectual capital that you're building for the firm, mentorship, and one other that I can't think of. But you're evaluated each of those pillars against, current, progressing, and at next. And so your manager should be, providing you feedback throughout the summer. And so you fill out your self-evaluation to really reflect how you think you're operating against each of those pillars. And then your mentor and your manager will be filling those out throughout the summer as well to kind of compare those two. Right. So your final evaluation will be against each of those 5 pillars and how you have executed across that from this summer. I feel like I got a little off base, but Leo, please feel free to jump in and answer that as well.
No, Liz, I think you did a good job covering, the true role of the mentor on the internship as well as once you rejoin full time. Fun fact here, your mentor is, I think, assigned to you when you do your internship. You don't really get to choose. Luckily for me, I got paired with a really cool guy in Toronto, and even though he's not in the consumer practice, I asked him to continue to be my mentor when I rejoined the firm full time. The only thing I'll add to what Liz said is that the mentor really is there in your summer to be that sounding board for when you're going through this for the first time, especially if you don't have a background in consulting. Be like sounding board to say, is what I'm going through or what I'm experiencing all right? Is this what you would expect? Because you might not know how you're doing, and you can have them give you a sense of whether whether what you're experiencing is normal, abnormal, if it's something that you're not necessarily comfortable bringing up with your project team, right? That's all I'll say.
Great. Thank you both. Daniela and Emmanuel, will direct this to you both as well. Throughout your 10 weeks, what was one skill that you were able to enhance throughout the summer?
I don't know if you want to go, Daniela, but I can go. When I got staffed on the SOP project, when I tell you, my goodness, the analytics was intense. I felt like over the 3 to 4 weeks that I was on that project, it was like every day we were just, data, just cleaning data. We're baselining a lot and putting together an RFP package that will be sent off to different vendors. So behind all of that is just literally data. And I felt like the MBA program prepares you foundationally, but there's another layer when you come into consulting, especially during the summer. Some projects you get a chance to hone that skill and really build upon it. I think Kearney does a great job. The team does a great job of developing summer associates and making sure they're understanding what exactly to look for. But sometimes we can just build models, but not necessarily know exactly why we're building these models or what insights we're trying to draw from it. And I think the firm does a great job of making sure we understand what the so what is behind these different analytics or different models that we're building. So that was one thing that I could say that I developed a lot through my internship experience.
I think in my case, it would be something related to, but more like problem solving and storytelling or communication. Those were the two biggest ones. I think I remember, given my project was a supply chain optimization, a lot of things were very open-ended, like how do we solve this? And I faced myself many times to a blank page and not knowing what to put there. So I think, yeah, we definitely go through some training in the beginning that helps us structure that thinking, but you learn also by doing, and like also your manager, other associates in the team will help you out, figure out things, but it's just a muscle that it starts to develop while you do it more and more of those. And I would say that the storytelling is it's very similar. Like I'm an engineer, so I tend to be sometimes very practical and go directly to the point, and sometimes that's not the best strategy. So I also learn how to step back a little bit and just think in the big picture and how we can narrate that. So yeah, those will be my take.
Great. Thank you both. I think those are both really great examples that we typically see across our interns. So those were amazing examples there. I'm going to open this up for anyone that wants to answer it. But right, so you start off the summer program, you have a mentor, but what other ways are there for you to network, help build your support system within the firm, whether that's, affinity networks or different clubs you may be a part of. So happy to have you all just provide some examples of how you have support outside of your mentor and your project.
Yeah, I can kick it off and then I'll pass it to the rest of the crew. But I would say as an intern, I heavily relied on my mentor to connect me with some initial people right at the firm. They were a great resource. I was really interested in health at the time, and they were great at connecting me with people that really intersected with my interests. And frankly, as you start kind of connecting with those individuals at the firm and hearing more about what they do, and you just start to expand your network. They'll introduce you to people. They'll find something that they say, oh, I'm actually gonna be helping write a paper on something. Like, do you want to get involved in that, right? And you're only there for 10 weeks, but it's still a great chance to try to start getting involved in those kind of experiences. So I heavily relied on my mentor in the initial week. And then I just really tried to make a big effort to stay in the office when I could. So I was traveling every week, but I was there every Friday, and I found it to be a really bustling environment. And the office teams, there's a internship lead for each office, and they do a great job coordinating events and getting the office to kind of come together and do things. So those were kind of the two ways I mainly expanded my network, but happy to pass it off to someone else.
I mean, it was in the slide for me, karaoke on Fridays. And like that's kind of a joke, but it's also kind of true. My networking style is a little more of like I just like to be in the right place at the right time, and I'm not necessarily one to look on a random partner's calendar and look for time on there and say, hey, can we chat? I don't know what it is. I've just never been that way. And so I rely on just these coincidental encounters, whether it's, working on a proposal together or, just waiting to bump into someone in the New York office if they're based out of New York and I'm based in Toronto, but I happen to be there for my project, right? So they really do a good job of, opening it up for people like me during the internship. What Liz said is true. The summer consulting program leads purposely schedule all kinds of events on Fridays throughout the week so that you do have a chance to just bump into people, right?
Just wanted to add to that. There's also the resource groups. One that I'm a part of is the Black at Kearney resource group. So the group holds different events each year. One that we hold that helps with development is the Professional Development Forum. We kind of dive into, again, like analytics, so what, and then even on the other hand, like just more personable. We want to understand what's going on in people's lives. We want to make sure we can connect with you. So it's good to build relationships in that regard, but also use it as a way, to leverage this network to kind of elevate your career and just grow it. So.
Great. Thank you all. Yeah, I think, a variety of networks and resources, as well as a variety of clubs. So if there's a club that, you want to host and have an event, Kearney is more than happy to support it. I know like the New York office, there's running club, there's like fine arts. So plenty of different ways to help build your network, both professionally and personally as well. So jumping over back to the summer program itself, I know some of you may have had your internship during COVID, but can you talk a little bit about what your travels like during the summer program?
In my case, I traveled half of the program, and yeah, I was partially affected with COVID, but I think it was 5 weeks doing remote or well, coming to the New York office in my case, and then 5 weeks going to the client side. And yeah, I guess also going to the client side allows you to connect not only with people working in your team, but also other teams working for the client. So that was nice too.
Yeah, I'll say, regardless of any of us being affected by COVID or not, right? My summer intern this summer was very much traveling every week with the team. So it's really today, I would say most projects are traveling, if not, every other week, almost every week. And so the interns are fully expected to, be part of the team and fully integrated, and they're traveling just along as much, if not the same amount as the team. There are some exceptions to that, but typically, you are one of the team. You're kind of viewed as a full-fledged associate on the project, and the client views you as such as well. So you're going to be traveling alongside the team.
Great, thank you. Going throughout the group as we're coming up on time, any tips you would have liked to receive as you were going through first year recruiting into summer internship interviews that you would like to give to the folks here?
So
Stumped you all with this one.
the advice on the interview or the recruiting aspects?
Just in general, whatever you wish you would have known before going into it all.
Advice for recruiting, right? Or for starting? I mean, I have an advice for recruiting. Maybe that's helpful.
Yeah, please.
So I think maybe something I could have done differently was trying to have more conversations with like students that have done the internship before or consultants, but more like trying to understand what they do and really understand what's consulting. Because I think at some point you're also expected to have a clear idea on what type of work you want to do, what industries you are attracted to, and I think I I could have had more self-reflection there. So I would, yeah, definitely advise that.
I can throw something out there. I mean, when you start your internship, my advice is just to be confident. You probably won't know anything. Maybe you have experience in this certain practice or industry, but I think for most of us, including myself during my internship, I think I had battled with like the imposter syndrome, like not feeling confident about my abilities or my skill set. But later on, realizing that they brought me on for a reason, and you deserve to be here if you get selected. So just be confident, be bold, give your perspective. The partners and the team wants to know what you think about the project or about maybe the workshop you're working on. That way it invites that diversity of thought, to the project. So just be confident, be bold, speak up.
I like that. Kind of going off that, I would say also ask a lot of questions, right? You're coming in as an intern, your baseline is 0, right? You typically don't know either the function or the industry, maybe both. In my case, both, right? So be curious, ask a lot of questions. That's kind of, the way you're going to learn. There's a lot of context that a lot of people on the team might have that, you're brought in, you're green, you don't have a lot of those context. So ask a lot of questions. Definitely Google things before. Don't just go ahead and throw those out there. Do your due diligence, but be sure to speak up. I taco Emmanuel, speak up, and then ask questions. Right? I think everyone's always going to be happy to answer questions if it shows you're interested, you're engaged, you're trying. So.
I got one, and I think it was on my mind for sure because I knew it was a question that I'd get asked at any firm I was interviewing with. It's a why Kearney, or why our firm, and I thought I don't quite know what it is that I'm searching for yet when I'm in the process of applying to consulting firms from this career. So how can I really answer that question? And what I reflected on after doing the internship was that it's all right that my answer to why Kearney or why consulting or whatever looked different in the January when I was going through interviews versus afterwards when I was debating whether or not I wanted to return to Kearney. Right? You have a lot more information after going through the internship process to really know what is the split of this firm's work. Is it stuff that I'm interested in? Did the people that I worked with on my project find me interesting? Did I find them interesting? And back in the recruiting season in like January in the fall, it's all right to just keep it at the level of which firm had the people that I thought were like, good people. So if you're like me and you're reflecting on all of this, I think the answer is going to look different, and that's all right at different points in your journey, I think.
Great. Thank you all. Really appreciate the honest answers here. And just as we're coming up on time, we do have a variety of webinars remaining throughout the recruiting season. So up next in 2 weeks is our Kearney practice feature. So we'll be highlighting some of the practices here within Kearney, as well as talking about the application process. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to join us there. We'll also have a Kearney alumni panel. So former consultants within Kearney who have now gone on to other, career adventures. They will be joining us to talk about their experiences within Kearney, as well as how they got to their current role. And then we'll also have some additional prep webinars as well to help you get ready as you're going through the interview process. So please feel free to join the remainder of our Be a Kearney original webinar series. We'll have plenty of other resources for you as well throughout as you gear up for your application and interviews. So with that, I do want to thank our panelists tonight. Really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules and sharing your experiences with all of us. So again, if your questions haven't been answered, please feel free to reach out to the recruiting team. We're happy to help answer those, and hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.